Today, we're going to talk about something that seems to have been memory hold, a very important story that I'm actually shocked I didn't know about, and I think you guys will be interested in hearing. This is Inverted World Live. What's up, everyone? I am your host, Shane Cashman. Thank you for being here with us. This is a pre-recorded episode. I had some family stuff I have to do this weekend, but I want to make sure we recorded this now. I watched this video on last Sunday, and it blew me away. I didn't know anything about this, and I'm very excited to talk about it. But before we get into that, I want to introduce Wesley. Wesley's over here helping out last minute as we threw this together. We miss Alex, but we're very grateful to Wesley for helping out. And so the things we don't talk about are as important as the things we talk about. It's like looking at art and seeing what the negative space makes up. And I'm like, what is going on in the negative space? And why are we not talking about it? Especially something that seems extremely important in this day and age. Always important, but now more than ever, as what we're going to talk about is a type of evil it's an ancient evil, and it's still around today, and it's unfortunately just as prevalent, and it's in the upper echelons of society, and all the way down to the bottom, into the gutters. And I think if you don't know about this already, you'll be surprised. So I'd like to introduce our guest, Destiny Rezendes. She's the one who made this video last Sunday that made me sit down and actually, I had to like, this can't be real. I thought maybe this has got to be fake, but it turns out it was true. So let's bring on Destiny. Destiny, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. Really glad for you to be here and joining us today. Before we get into all this stuff with the Bidens, just give us a quick rundown of who you are.
I'm an independent researcher. I do have affiliation with the American Commission. I'm a writer there, which we do work trying to get people that are in the, Gen Zers and get them interested in politics, get them interested, regardless of what their party interest is. It's more about just getting younger people more involved in their communities, more involved in the politics around them. So I do that. I'm also an artist outside of any journalism that I do. And I'm 33. So I'm just entering my adult years, I think. So it's been a fun journey getting here. But
That's awesome.
yeah, that's what I do.
That's awesome. The video that you made was about Beau Biden. We'll get into it. But like I said in the beginning, I was floored. I didn't know about this, and I was curious how I missed it. And it seems like everyone did. I saw a lot of people sharing your video, commenting on it, being like, how is this completely memory hold? And before we get into that, something you shared just recently I saw on Twitter was that Wayback Machine had been, I don't know, destroyed, hacked into, which kind of falls into place with what I want to talk about with Beau Biden and how things get memory hold and forgotten. Like, what's going on with Wayback Machine? You talked about on Twitter how you've lost a lot of your backups or your files and stuff you've archived. What's going on there, and what do you make of that?
Well, I've been an online internet archivist for years, probably at least 4 or 5, since at least COVID started, I
Mm.
think, because that's when I started to notice things were harder to find. And it was impeding my research. So I made it a point to start archiving strongly. And I was getting up to, 1,700 things in my archives, websites archived, and thousands of documents. And something about like 6 months to a year ago, they started just disappearing.
Hmm.
And I mean, by the hundreds. And things I had used as early as like a week or two ago would be completely gone out of and there's there's nothing. But this is a second major hack I think that they've had in the last year. I, it's worrisome, to put it in the slightest, but fortunately I do back up everything I have on my hard drives, but it's not about my data, it's about everyone's available data
Right.
to share. It's, the archive is such a researcher help that without the integrity of security, it's virtually worthless. It's very scary right now. I
Do
hope they
you,
fix this, like get a solution soon.
do you think, I agree, do you think this is like a nefarious actor trying to erase history so we can't go back and do our research and, look at things? Or is it just a coincidence?
I think it's nefarious. It has to be, because the entire, like, well, not the entire, but a large portion of the Internet Archive is dedicated to something called the Wayback Machine.
Hmm.
And the Wayback Machine preserves pages in time of any website that you so choose to save. And that gives you a little bit of timeline accountability for people. It's like, no, you did say this on your website because I can go back to that time, see it, and show you you changed this, that, or the third. So there's no good reason, there's no beneficial reason to get rid of that. In my mind, for at least that portion of the website, which is a considerable portion of it, that that's it's got to be nefarious. There's no good reason to get rid of those. And I've had it happen before too, where it's certain documents. It's not just your regular upload of a Wikipedia page. It's always the CIA files or something, that
Huh.
those are the ones that go missing. It's very interesting.
Interesting. And they have a history of, working with hackers, and they know how to erase things, and they like to rewrite history and memory hole and gaslight the American public, which is why I think things like the Wayback Machine and having your own archives are really important for people that want to pay attention. As we're inheriting a pretty crazy world, and the information is speeding at us constantly. So it's easy for people who aren't as plugged in as we might be to all this stuff to just, fall prey to something that's been memory holed and then replaced with a new history. And I get scared when this stuff starts being erased for whatever reason it is. So that, with that in mind, who knows what we've been missing out on now and what's going away. I mean, you might have an idea because you have your own backup, which is great. But with that in mind, this Beau Biden story is something that's not ancient news. This isn't that long ago.
Yeah, it's not old. It's not an old story.
So,
And that's what makes it worse.
right, that's what's so scary about it, is that it was basically, in politics time, it's not that long ago. It's like a few years ago, basically. But it started with, well, let's let you start with how you found out about this, like how you came across this and your process of finding it and then deciding to make a video.
Well, I was looking into something interesting about Jill Biden, actually, because I had recently found out, thanks to an amazing new documentary that came out last month called This Is Treason, #Trafficked. In it, they talk about the border and the migration of the illegal immigrant children that are coming in that are being lost.
Mm.
And in that documentary, and I don't want to give spoilers away because people might not have seen it yet, but they should. In it, they discuss the fact that Jill Biden sits on the board for a company called Save the Children, which currently is under investigation by the government of Guatemala for trafficking and abusing children.
Hmm.
And she sits on the head of the board for it. So, they just made their first public statement yesterday, the company,
Wow.
which of course they denied all allegations, and literally called them baseless conspiracy theories. And so I started looking, like, is there more about the Bidens and missing kids? And that's when I found out about Beau. And I had already known he had that foundation, the Beau Biden Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
I knew about that, but I didn't know the extent, and I didn't know anything about his history as an attorney general for Delaware. So I just started looking, and it was just next thing you know.
And this whole thing blew up.
Wow.
So,
Mhm.
and I want to go through that whole timeline with Beau because it's fascinating. But something you said about Guatemala and was it Save the Children Foundation?
Save the Children, yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of allegations that people levy against the Clinton Foundation in Haiti, right?
Yeah.
It's very similar.
It's worse.
It's worse.
I
Could
think
you
it's
say?
worse.
Could you say
I think
how?
it's far worse. 70+% of the kids that have gone missing in the United States are from Guatemala.
Wow.
It's like less than, I think, 5 to 2% that are actually from Mexico. They're mostly from, and like when I say most, it's over 70% for sure.
Wow.
I know Robbie Starbuck covered this quite extensively. He was one of the first people I saw break the story
Right.
of Jill Biden's Save the Children.
Are they being trafficked across the border the same as a lot of these other like kids? We hear like numbers like 300,000 kids who've gone missing that come over the border and they get sold into all types of horrible situations. Is that what this foundation is being accused of, or is there something different?
From my understanding, because they haven't released any final investigation documents, but from the allegations that were posted, that there's some sort of trafficking or an abuse that is going on, and there wasn't much said about it. They didn't say if it was international or if it was labor abuse or sexual abuse, but they did say, the safety of the children was a big concern because of allegations of trafficking and abuse of the children.